Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour on ESPN is being brought to you by HBO, the best in movies, comedy, and boxing. HBO, simply the best. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Now let's preview tonight's finalists. Starting from the number 5 position, Mary Martha Cerniglia of Springfield, Illinois will need to win 4 matches in order to claim her first ever LPBT title. Her opponent in game number 1, 13-time champion Lorrie Nichols, who finished up 3rd last week. 30-year-old Nikki Gianulias, a championship round finalist the past 2 Thursday nights, will be shooting for her first victory of the 1990 campaign. And, of course, representing the Great Northwest and bowling out of the runner-up position tonight, it's 31-year-old Terri Brice. And the top seed for the 19th time in her illustrious career, the bowler of the 1980s, Lisa Wagner. And welcome to the finals of the $35,000 Carolina Classic. Live from Main Street Lanes on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to Hilton Head, a fabulous resort area. The first time ever that the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour has staged a national event here, and working with me once again tonight is Lisa Wagner. Lisa Wagner, our top seed, has 24 career titles. If she wins tonight, she ties Patty Costello for the most ever won by a lady professional, 25. That's a lot of championships.
It sure is, Denny. I don't think I can imagine winning that many titles. I tell you, though, Lisa did it in just 8 years. Took Patty Costello 16 years to win as many titles. So, yeah, Patty just took advantage of the left-handed side back in those days, and she's a great player.
All right, let's talk about the field here this evening with Nikki Gianulias and Lorrie Nichols, both of them multiple champions, waiting in the wings. It won't be easy for Lisa tonight.
Well, no, it won't. Both players making their second consecutive telecast, and both players are multiple champions, so they do know how to win.
All right, tell us something about Mary Martha Cerniglia. She's a gutsy player from Illinois.
She sure is. She didn't even know she had a chance to make the telecast last night. One thing about Mary Martha, she never gives up. She throws every shot as if it were the last shot she could throw and the best.
All right, and from Moses Lake, Washington, back from your neck of the woods, it's Terri Brice. You bowled against her in many regional championships, and she's a fine player.
Well, Terri is a fine player. She's feeling the nerves, though, tonight. But she has one advantage, Denny. She's pregnant.
Well, you, of course, would know better than anybody else how to win in that situation. We'll be back with the start of match number 1 here from the live finals of the $35,000 Carolina Classic. A pair of outstanding right-handers, and Lorrie Nichols and Mary Martha Cerniglia. All right, welcome back to Main Street Lanes on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Just about ready for the start of the Carolina Classic, and our television pair, 13 and 14. First good look at Mary Martha Cerniglia out of Springfield, Illinois.
Mary Martha, the 1988 LPBT and Bowling Digest Rookie of the Year.
Opening shot, wastes little time, walks up and hits the pocket on lane 13, which was by far and away the toughest of the 2 lanes throughout the week on this pair.
It was, Denny. Lane 13 actually hooked 4 to 5 more boards than lane 14, and this pair was one of the toughest pairs throughout the week.
Lorrie Nichols from Algonquin, Illinois, has to try and figure out what to do during the television round. She has struggled as of late. And the opening shot is not one that she likes.
And a smile from Lorrie, knowing, hey, last week my first shot, I left the big 4. This week I threw a little right, and I've come up light. I asked her about last week. I said, you know, Lorrie, you just didn't look like you had it together. And she told me that she didn't have any type of shot in the practice session. So when she came out, she just picked up a ball and, you know, threw at it. So was kind of hoping for the best, and as things turned out, it wasn't the best for her.
Tough conversion, but she makes it in the first frame, and she breathes a sigh of relief.
Look at Lorrie's game. A 5-step approach, a very small first step. Then she pushes the ball away. Very low at the waist. Good, strong, and high backswing. Coming into her slide. Actually hits the line and then pulls the ball through.
This one light again, and I think if you take a look at that game, you'll notice one thing, and I think it might lead to some of her inconsistency from time to time, is the fact that she's kind of rearing back, standing up a little bit at the line. And that can't help you getting the ball projected in the area that you want.
Well, she really doesn't have a low knee bend. She's always been kind of straight-kneed.
That number right there, the lowest of our finalists on the television pair.
This really wasn't one of Lorrie's favorite pairs.
Well, last night in the position round, she shot 162 on lanes 13 and 14, so not her favorite pair in this bowling center.
She said she actually liked lane 13. Lane 14, she opened 4 times, and lane 13 she was able to hit. So just lane 14 seemed to really give her the problem.
Advantage Cerniglia throughout the week, but the championship round, obviously a horse of a different color for our top 5 finalists. And this shot goes a little bit long, and it would appear that lane 14 might be a tad tighter than 13.
As it was throughout the week. Characteristic is still there. Something that really amazed me about this lady, Denny, is she didn't even realize last night that she had a shot for the show. She was only 100 pins from second place, 60 pins from fourth place. She went out there, and in the 10th frame, she doubled in 9, and she was right in there, and she was filling out her score sheet. We had to tell her she was in the show, and she went, "No, you're kidding." So it's really nice to know that you can just get up and throw the ball and not worry about anything. Look at Mary Martha's game. A 4-step approach, actually steps before she pushes the ball. A low bend at the waist, actually straight leg, and then goes down with the knee. And she's very, very far from the foul line.
Kind of interesting the way she approaches that. I want to talk about focus here after she throws this shot. And it was a good one, leaves the soft 10. She said that one of the big keys for her this week was the fact that she was just able to just blot everything out, take everything one shot at a time, and do nothing but concentrate on the frame that she was bowling.
Well, another good shot on lane 13 here, except the ball's not going to quite drive hard enough to get the 10 out. That's exactly right, Denny. She has been very frustrated of late. She has not been bowling very well. She was in 55th position after the first round, and I asked her, what she did differently, and she just said, "I was able to block everything else out. I had to stop worrying about the financial problems of being out on tour and bowling bad games, and just focus on bowling, making good shots."
13 career championships. It's been better than 2 years, though, since her last singles title. Her speed control there, and she swishes the rack around a little bit for her first strike.
Lorrie's really had some timing problems. She has been working on it. One of the players I'd like to mention, Pat Mercantani, who has worked with Lorrie, actually had an accident recently, and she is currently in Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia. She's going to be going home tomorrow, and all the players want to wish her a very quick recovery. It's going to take about 3 to 6 months of rehabilitation and therapy to get back together. So.
Well, we wish Merck the best, a former U.S. Open champion. We'll be thinking about her when we get to the U.S. Open a little later on here in the spring. Lorrie Nichols with a big double in the 3rd and the 4th takes a 9-pin lead here. A Broadway shot while we're on Main Street at Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. And while we're away, this is Mary Martha with an excellent shot in the 4th frame.
Staying right on line here. She's going to just swish out the 5-pin.
Well, didn't see the results of the pins, but she did slice the rack up a little bit, and she struck in the 4th and kind of went through the nose with a shot on lane 13 here in the 5th as she trails by 9 pins. That would have been a key double for her because Lorrie stepped up in the 3rd and 4th and kind of picked up the pace.
Lorrie working on a double, looking for her 3rd strike here on lane 14.
Match play record this week, 12 wins, 12 losses. Got plenty of side turn on that shot. Went a little long, averts the bucket, but she still ends up with the 8 count.
Lorrie looks a little bit more aggressive this evening, Denny, than she did last week. A little bit more comfortable with the shot. Better ball speed, too. An interesting note, both these players are roommates. They're traveling around in Lorrie's motorhome. And I said, well, what happens if she beats you, Lorrie? And she said, well, she'll be sleeping outside tomorrow, or she needs a new ride to Atlanta for next week. So it's tough bowling your roommate here for the title or in a match.
Hey, what are you going to do? That's all part of the game. And there is Lorrie's husband, Terry, down this week at Hilton Head. You notice how he always seems to select the Hilton Heads and the Florida stops for his vacation time to come out and watch his wife bowl?
Of course.
It's kind of interesting how that happens.
You don't want to really go to the colder weather on your vacation time.
Although he's dying down right now because the Blackhawks are in the thick of things in the NHL playoffs, and he is the biggest Blackhawk fan east of Chicago.
Well, he said he gets home tomorrow in time to watch the game.
Fine.
Oh, nice shot there. Not sure exactly what pin came out of the channel and hit the 7 pin. Had to be the 4.
So Lorrie Nichols now leads by 7, just past the midway point.
Saws out the 5 here. Now the 5 should take out the 7, but it actually flies in the back, and looked like it was the 4 pin there that tripped at 7.
4, the head pin almost got tied up with the 5 that time. Was a little unusual. This one goes long and a washout for Mary Martha, and possibility of her first open here in game number 1.
Mary Martha wanting to hit on the left side of the head pin, throwing the head pin right into the 10 pin. Not an easy spare. A lot of times you throw that head pin right around the 10 pin, and that's very frustrating.
Need to hook a little bit, and it doesn't. So an open in the 6th, and a costly one, as now Mary Martha finds herself trailing by 21.
This is Mary Martha's 2nd career television appearance. Her last time she actually won 2 matches and finished 2nd in South Bend.
Tell you what was amazing, after 9 games this week, she was 170 pins under. She said at that point she just put everything out of her mind, went out and shot 785 for the next 3, so she went from 170 under to 15 over in 3 games.
And got in contention for the top 24.
Comes back with a strong shot there, so she is anything but done in this one. Lorrie Nichols leads by 21. Game number 1 of the $35,000 Carolina Classic. We'll be back with more after this. Judges get lovelier every single week, Leila.
There's a lot of lovely ladies out here on the tour, Denny.
Husband Greg at home, I think, as she studies the foul line to make sure that the participants stay behind it.
That's right. Every week we do have a foul line judge in case the lights do not go off, and Lorrie is disturbed by somebody has moved.
All right, time to reload. Forget about things. She works on a strike here in the 6th, leads by 21. Key shot here. If she strikes, she leads by 31.
Beautiful shot. Looks like she is definitely more confident with the condition here this evening than she was last week. Now Lorrie likes to go a little bit down the boards and a little bit up towards the pocket. Actually, a kind of a point shot here, right around the 5th, 6th board. Ball just breaks in nicely.
Second double of the opening match. Could shoot 256 if she decides to strike out here from the 8th.
Sending that ball a little farther out to the right, actually gets it back, so the players have a little area to the right, Denny. They can swing it a little bit, and it's going to come back for them.
A 41-pin lead. Mary Martha finds herself in desperate straits at this point. If she would strike out, it would be a game of 225.
As you can see there, her best 1990 finish was 33rd, so she has had a frustrating year so far. She did not participate in the tournaments in February, though. She was working with Big Sisters and Big Brothers and all their charity events in bowling.
And she also spent some time working with a good friend of mine, Fred Borden, at Stonehenge Place in Cuyahoga Falls.
Did Mary Martha go up and work with Fred?
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
Spent a little time with the boards master, and said that the majority of what she learned was, I think, more mental than physical, although they did work on the timing and a few other things.
Well, it's such an important aspect of our game, Denny, is that mental part. Also physical part, and Mary Martha likes to eat pasta every time she gets ready to bowl. She had her mostaccioli this afternoon.
What's that?
It's a certain type of a noodle.
Uh-huh.
I'm not Italian, so you might have to ask her exactly.
Well, you're supposed to eat pasta. It's great for the carbs, right?
Exactly.
Carbohydrates.
Gives you that energy.
Right. Needs some help. And doesn't quite get it. Ball crossed over in the ninth. So for Mary Martha, more than likely an early exit here this evening.
But very happy with the fact that she actually made the show this week and was able to come out and have a little confidence going into next week. Ball crosses over Brooklyn. And
anytime you make it to the championship round, especially when you're 170 under after 9 games, that's quite a feat, and it's something that you build on confidence-wise.
You do build on it because the next time that happens, you say, hey, I did it before, and a lot of times you do it again just because of that.
Lorrie Nichols right now in a very comfortable position. Really get loose here and make the fine-tune adjustments. Of course, next in line, Nikki Gianulias. This time a touch high and whacks out the 4-pin.
First time Lorrie's won a match on television in a while, so she has to feel pretty good about that.
Well, we don't want to be the bearer of bad tidings, but her overall match play record is 32-50. And for a player who has 13 titles, that's not the kind of record you'd like to post. She might have 13 more if she had done a little better on television. Big transition, though. Much different game in the championship round than it is throughout the week.
Looking for that messenger and just a wobbly 10-pin.
So an easy victory in match number 1 for Lorrie Nichols of Algonquin, Illinois. Spare and a strike here, and she would shoot 235, and she averaged just 180 on this pair throughout the week. What a difference a day and some lane conditioning makes, huh?
Well, that's right, Denny. Every day is really a new day out here. As we've seen, the top 5 after qualifying didn't even make the show, so you've always got to be on top of the changes that the humidity and the lanes can make.
Now explain that one to me. There were 5 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, heading into the final 8 games? Or no, you're talking about into the finals of match play.
Into the finals of match play, I'm sorry.
None of them made the telecast.
None of them made the telecast, which is very unusual.
I'd say so. First time I ever heard that happening.
First time that I remember it happening, so.
All right, the light hit for Lorrie Nichols, who starts off big here this evening in the Carolina Classic with a 235 game. A nice 4-bagger from the 6th through the 9th, sealing the fate of Mary Martha, who will finish up the week in the number 5 position where she qualified here this evening.
The condition this week, Denny, actually oiled 18 feet and got up to 23.5 feet. So there was a lot of back-end movement. The lanes were relatively dry throughout the whole week. And as you'll see, our top seed, Lisa Wagner, she tends to like them when they're on the dry side.
Well, when they're on the dry side, wouldn't that favor a player who might be able to throw the ball a little bit harder throughout the week?
Exactly, and that's one reason why you see players like Lorrie Nichols, Nikki Gianulias, and Lisa Wagner on the telecast. They're able to generate that ball speed.
And soothing the wounds at this point with a double in the 10th and a game of 194 if she strikes on this shot for Mary Martha Cerniglia, who will head down to Fayetteville, Georgia for next week's Greater Atlanta Open. When do you start back? Now the week after that, huh?
Right, Winter Park.
Okay.
And I've
been
been
practicing,
yes.
All right.
So hopefully I'll be on the telecast in Winter Park.
Fine. All right, game number 1 comes to an end. 235 to 191. Lorrie Nichols advances here in the Carolina Classic, and she will take on now 30-year-old Nikki Gianulias of Vallejo, California. A close first match through about the 6th frame. Mary Martha left the washout, and from there on out, Lorrie Nichols took control, shot a beautiful 235 game, so an easy victory for Lorrie in the 5 game, so an easy victory for Lorrie in the opening match. And as we also have a moment here while Nikki Gianulias finishes up her practice shots, we'll check in on the Pro-Am winner this week at Main Street Lanes in the Carolina Classic. There he is, Craig Smith. Tim Sabo, the assistant manager, presenting him with a beautiful trophy, and Craig watches the telecast every week, and he was very, very excited about coming away the Pro-Am champ.
And $1,000 richer.
Well, it doesn't hurt. Take a look at the way the numbers stacked up after 42 games this week. The size of the tournament field, 70. The average to cash right around a deuce. Make the match play about the same. And to make the telecast 204.88.
It's a little bit better scores that we've seen this week compared to the last 2 weeks. They've
pretty much moderate, really, when you think about things. There you look at Mary Martha, 55th, 26-16th, and then it was all she wrote. But for Lisa Wagner, a pretty steady week. Once match play started, she pretty much took over.
Exactly. Look after the third round. Not one of the players in the top 5, so a big change there.
Nikki Gianulias starting 32nd, and then a nice jump between the 4th and the 5th round. Lorrie Nichols, a steady week for her as well. She mentioned the players that are able to generate some velocity seem to be the players that were successful this week, and of course the first couple of weeks on a short oil because the backhands have hooked so much.
Well, we find that in the game, Denny, and with the limited distance dressing, I really feel that it hurts the senior citizens as well as the junior players because they're not able to generate that ball speed.
Lorrie Nichols comes out and just dices the rack on lane 13, and she's had a history of when she does get it going on television to go right to the championship game.
She sure does. She holds a 4-game record set 1981, averaging 255 for television. So once she gets lined up, she can strike.
Different ball speed there for Nikki Gianulias, who averaged 223 on lanes 13 and 14 throughout the week.
I think Nikki should be very comfortable with this shot as well, Denny. As soon as she starts sending the ball a little farther right, I think she'll see the break point and the ball come back a little harder.
This lady went through some terrible times in the championship round. Couldn't win a match. And now all of a sudden she's flipped it around, become very competitive. It seems to just run in streaks out here in the championship round.
Well, Nikki, we just saw last week climbing the ladder, ended up finishing second, but she won 3 matches prior to that. As she opens up here with a missed spare, and spares were relatively easy this week. I talked to quite a few of the players, and they said they didn't have too many problems with spare shooting.
Last couple of weeks, anything on the left side of the lane was a real experience, but I think, as you mentioned, and accurately so, a little easier to knock down the spares this week. Well, there's a slasher for Nikki G, who comes back strong in the second. I have a feeling she's going to have to put together a pretty solid game if she wants to advance to the semifinal.
I think so. I think both of these players, with having it been their second consecutive appearance, they're a little bit comfortable with being on television. They're over the nerve, and they've got a nice line.
Lorrie Nichols with another shaker. Players aren't exactly flushing the ball in the pocket, but the results are good.
A lot of times those light hits actually carry better for you, Denny. They're trusting the ball, they're throwing it to the right, and it's coming back. Here her ball goes right around the 5th board, makes a nice break coming in. A little bit light. Had she hit around the 3rd, 4th board, that ball would have broken a little bit harder.
Obviously like the reaction, as she does on lane 13. Lorrie Nichols opens with 3 consecutive strikes here in game number 2.
Putting the pressure on Nikki Gianulias to try to step up and grab a double.
31-year-old Terri Brice of Moses Lake, Washington, is qualified number 2 in our top seed this week. Certainly no surprise. The bowler of the 1980s, Lisa Wagner.
Nikki, another player that travels in a motorhome along with her roommate, Elaine Blamenberg.
Made the adjustment on lane 14, and it was a costly one.
Actually hitting that wet, dry area, Denny. What happens here, she hit the dry area too quick. Didn't get the ball going long enough before hitting the dry area, and it snapped back very sharply.
Two opens and 3 frames. Nikki Gianulias has dug herself a deep, deep hole here in game number 2.
This tends to happen to amateur players across the country, Denny, is hitting that dry area too quick, getting too much break on the ball. You actually need to target farther down the lane. That'll get the ball into a slide a little bit longer and delay that hook.
Well, she struck on lane 13 the last trip. As you see the board, a 43-pin differential here, and we're early in this one.
Lorrie feeling very confident opening up with 3 strikes.
Past the pocket it goes.
Nikki leaving the 2-5. Now she has to be careful not to chop this. Switching balls to a harder surface bowling ball. She had a little problem last week with spare shooting on the telecast.
As did most of the other finalists. All right, good conversion in the 4th, but Lorrie Nichols in command here in game number 2. Lorrie leading by 43, and we'll be back with more of game number 2 after this. A determined Lorrie Nichols, but the results weren't what she wanted.
Actually raising up early at the line, denting the ball. Pulled into the center of the lane, and this is the result.
It's amazing after she started easily with the first 3 strikes. Opens in the 4th.
She converts 2 of the pins. One of the problems with raising up on the ball, raising up with the ball at the line, not staying down, you miss your target usually to the left.
Back to live action. Lorrie Nichols leads the bucket, and when we left, she led by 43, and now it's 28, and she still has problems.
Adjusting the feel of the ball, looks as if maybe she hung up. Reapplied the tape. Lorrie Nichols, the proprietor of Lorrie Nichols Algonquin Lanes. Got the break there.
Got away with one, no question about that. That was out the window, so she spares in the 5th. That could be a pivotal shot for Lorrie Nichols, who needed a break, and she got one.
When you don't get too many breaks on television, this can turn it all around. Normally you hit all the pins with the ball. Here, the pins help her out, come off the wall, and trip the rest out.
Let's see if Nikki G can bounce back. She trails now by 28, so realistically, she's still in the match.
Nikki finishing 2nd twice this year now. Comes back with a beautiful shot on lane 14.
And a double here would cut the lead to 18.
It's turning around quick. Nikki's ball going out to about the 3rd, 4th board, long down the lane, and then it makes the break back, and that's the key. Hit those dry boards long.
Well, she left the 2-4-8 in the opening shot there, then threw the nose 4-6-10, so she appears to be lined up on 14. Let's see how she handles lane 13. Key shot, and she makes it. How many times do you see the pros bounce back when they have an opportunity to apply a little pressure after an open frame?
Cutting the lead to only 18 pins.
And working on a double, that's the key, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see if Lorrie can gather herself here and get back into the pocket.
Lorrie recently named into the WIBC Hall of Fame. Oh, my. And things are going her way as she trips out the 4-pin. Lorrie's ball is going to actually hit around the 6th, 7th board, breaking in a little bit high. She's going to get a lucky trip from the head pin right here as it nudges the 4-pin. And she helped lean it over.
Extend the lead back to 28 if she strikes on 13. And it doesn't quite happen. Leaves the 2-8.
Wanting to go very direct at the 2-8 to cover the 8-pin, the sleeper pin.
And she could ill afford another mistake here in the second match. Not with Nikki G working on a double. Well, a beautiful conversion there of a tricky spare, the 2-8. And we'll take a break midway through the second game. An 18-pin lead by Lorrie Nichols. We'll be back with more after this. And while we were away, this is a look at Nikki G's shot. She leaves the 2-8.
This is what happens when you actually hit left of your target when the lanes are wet dry, Denny. We just saw Lorrie Nichols convert the spare. Nikki hitting the oil in the center of the lane. The ball just going into a slide.
Takes out the 8, but forgot the 2. So an open frame in the 7th for Nikki Gianulias. And Lorrie Nichols, the beneficiary. She now leads by 32, and sometimes it's just your night.
Well, so far it looks like it's just her night as she converted the bucket and tripped out the 4. And with Nikki miscuing here on the spare. We're bowling on synthetics this week, Denny. They're compared to a Formica tabletop, a very hard laminate surface. The new generation of bowling.
Now there's the overreaction. You get it a little too far right, and it gets into the dry area, and it hooks a little too much, and you leave the 3-6-10. So if it isn't one thing, it's another. 2 second-place finishes thus far this year for Nikki Gianulias, but she's yet to win a title in 1990.
Her last title came in 1989 in the fall. So she finally broke her string. She was having a rough time on television.
Well, she continues to make as many championship round appearances as she has here in the past 3 weeks. She's going to win again pretty soon. Slides on by, though, and this is basically a giveaway in match number 2 as Nikki comes off with the wry smile, realizing that she was in a position to apply a little bit of pressure when she had doubled in the 5th and the 6th, but she left the 2-8 in the 7th, and that was pretty much all she wrote.
Well, it's nice to sit on the bench and have your opponent open up 2 frames for you.
Yep. The arm swing, but the oil beginning to carry down just a little bit. As you see, the lanes now are tightening up. The last 15 feet of the lane not open as it was when the players started the telecast.
And that's a difference we see in the game today, Denny, is that the lanes actually tighten up as you bowl. It used to be that the lanes broke down and you moved your targets left. You moved everything left as the ball started to hook more. Now you need to move right and actually start pointing the ball up a little bit more.
3 consecutive opens from our championship round participants, and it's basically a case of who will survive here till the 10th frame. Lorrie could still shoot 209 if she would strike out.
Best possible game Nikki could shoot is 182. Lorrie really needing to regroup. She's got the match well in hand, leading by 27.
Got to stay away from the opens. And she gets a big break. The 8-pin was standing, but at the last moment it got shellacked. So Lorrie Nichols with a foundation strike in the 9th has put herself in a good position.
Actually, Lorrie moving to the right a little bit with her feet, targeting a little farther to the left, able to point the ball up and have the ball hold into the pocket. Almost left an 8-pin. 5-pin was supposed to take it out, not the head pin.
You'll take what you can get at this point. Well, if Nikki G would strike out, she would at least force a mark in the 10th. Perfect shot there on lane 14. I'm a little surprised. I felt like she might make a good run. The shot that she threw in the 7th when she left the 2-8 on that lane was not a good one.
No, exactly when it hits. But, well, with Nikki's game, Denny, you know, she likes to go away with the ball a little bit, and she's going to get a bit more over-under reaction than a player like Lorrie Nichols, who can go more straight up towards the pocket.
Mm-hmm. Many different ways that you can get to the 1-3 or the 1-2 if you're left-handed. All you're doing is looking for one you can do it consistently and also get one that carries the strikes.
I think Lisa Wagner is going to be a tough competitor here this evening as the lanes look like they're becoming more and more conducive, really, to her game.
All right, the wall shot in the 10th. Never say die. We saw some strange things happen last week.
I won't predict a winner.
If she would strike out, obviously she forces Lorrie Nichols to come up with some kind of a mark in the 10th frame to advance and take on Yeah, a virtual unknown to our national television audience, Terri Brice. Players on the tour know Terri pretty well and realize she's a solid performer, but it'll be the first good look at her for most of the fans throughout the country. Gotta have this one. And the ball didn't quite roll up. So for Nikki Gianulias, a 4th place finish this week.
She'll go on to the Atlanta area, Fayetteville, suburb of Atlanta, for next week's tournament.
A game of 170. We have seen this spring a number of low scores.
Yes, we have. Nikki actually moved into the position round last night. She was 6th place. She went around Tish Johnson and Gina Federice to take over the 3rd place position.
I think you're right. Lorrie started to make the adjustment. She's obviously moved her feet right. I'm not sure if the target has moved any, but she keeps moving her feet to the right and doesn't appear to have too bad of a reaction.
No, when you see the conditioner carried down, you really have to move your feet right in order to get more of an angle to the pocket.
Lorrie Nichols looking concerned, but I don't know why he would be at this stage. He's locked up for 2nd consecutive win. On the pair, tripping out the 4, slapping out the 10. What more could you ask for?
Getting the breaks on the spares.
Right.
And his wife has just won 2 consecutive matches.
And a possible game of 209. Lorrie opened up the championship round of the Carolina Classic with a 235-191 victory over Mary Martha Cerniglia. Nikki Gianulias finishing up 4th, and that 4th place finish worth $1,700. And obviously we had a bit of a miscue, and the prize list as Mary Martha wins $1,500 and not $2,100. For finishing 5th, Lorrie Nichols, the winner, though, of game number 2. 209 to 170. And coming up next, the semifinal game, Terri Brice of Moses Lake, Washington, is the next in line for Lorrie Nichols. Birthday, be kind to our planet. It's the only one we have. And don't forget to plant a tree or something like that on Sunday.
I have an azalea plant that I'm planning to plant.
I'm going to play golf and probably take some divots and things, but I promised to replace them. I guess, is that kind of the same thing?
For you, Denny, I think that would be the same thing.
Yeah, because I'm in the trees most of the time, so I don't think I need any more of those.
Don't want to plant any more of them, right?
No. As a matter of fact, I'd like to get the McCullough chainsaw out from time to time.
Now, I've seen you play golf, and I don't think you're in the trees very often. You're straight down the fairway. And speaking of up and in and straight players, Lorrie Nichols has already captured 2 matches thus far. She takes on Terri Brice here in the semifinal. Lorrie really having the matches under control. She's got the lane conditions down, knowing what's happening, seeing the changes. Terri Brice having not played on the lanes now for about 40 minutes, so she could have a little bit of a tough start. This is her 2nd television appearance.
Very tall young lady at 5'11". Right up.
Nice opening shot. Her career TV high game is 222. Nice look at Terri's game. She actually has a 5-step approach. Doesn't have much slide, though. Opens up at the shoulder. And then as she comes through the ball, closes back up and releases on the side of the ball. Really doesn't slide. Low knee bend.
She's almost got Amleto's hand position at the top of the swing. Set that one down a little short and got the break as she crossed over with a Brooklyn strike. And all the players have said lane 13 is probably hooking 2 or 3 boards more than 14, and Terri just found it out right there.
You mentioned her hand position. A lot of players on the women's tour do open up. They open up for power. However, if you don't get closed, it means disaster. So it's critical that your timing be right on when you're opening up that much.
I like Lorrie's chances. She's playing the kind of shot I think that she likes. A little velocity, kind of up and at him. She's got a little tug. She's got a little swing. If she throws it right up the track, she's got a chance for a strike as well.
Sounds like a nice shot when you have a little swing and a little tug. Here she's right around the 5th to 7th board. Ball coming flush into the pocket.
That might have been her best shot of the championship round. Trails by 10, though. Terri Brice opened with a couple of strikes and a very aggressive shot. Lorrie really accelerating out through the hit area.
Well, you have to take advantage, Denny, when you do get a condition that favors your game. If you can't take advantage of it, then I guess you shouldn't be out here. Terri Brice has won one Northwest Regional title. She's been on the Pro Tour for 9 years, but basically she just participates part-time, not out here full-time.
Got that one a little wide of the target at the arrows, and so Terri leaves the washout.
So once again, that opened hand, she gets close, but she hit right around the 8th board, the ball never making it out to those dry boards as it just really stays into a slide. We mentioned in the opening, Denny, she is 4 months pregnant. It's amazing. She doesn't look a bit pregnant at all. Expecting her first child, husband Billy, and her in October.
How'd you look at 4 months?
I was a little bit bigger than her. When I was on the telecast, I was a little over 5 months. So, but I'm shorter.
Right, so everything looks bigger.
Exactly.
Right. So it's vertical lines and all that stuff, right? Open in the third. The match now in Lorrie Nichols' hands as she leads by 18. Terri trying to come back. A little better ball speed there. Gets the 8 out, but the 10-pin stands.
Once again, that soft 10, 6-pin sitting in the channel. The ball not driving hard enough. She needs to get the ball farther out to the right on the lane, hit more around the 4th, 5th board in order for it to break back. She's hitting right around the 7th, 8th board.
Best finish on the year, 8th in Garland, Texas. And Terri averaged 241 on lanes 13 and 14 throughout the week, so she's comfortable on this pair, but another mistake in the 4th, and Lorrie Nichols opens up a 29-pin lead as she is coasting, perhaps, into the championship game of the $35,000 Carolina Classic. Lorrie Nichols works on a double and leads by 29. We're in the early stages of the semifinal game. The winner of this match takes on 28-year-old Lisa Wagner.
Lorrie really wanting to bowl well. She's been recently diagnosed with carpal tunnel, a wrist injury. Bowling is very hard on the wrist as you lift the ball, and the more lift you get, wears out those tendons.
Leaves the 3-6 on lane 14. And at this point, she's got a little control in the match. The key now, I think, is to stay ahead, make Terri come back.
She needs to concentrate and really make good shots, not make any mistakes like she did right there.
Unforced error is the way they would, I think, project that in tennis. No reason to miss this.
Well, it appears as you go cross lane, Denny, we saw Nikki miss the 3-6-10. Last game, when you go across the lane, the ball just stays in a slide. The players are expecting it to make the break back, and it's not.
Well, you could tell by her reaction, she thought she threw a pretty good shot there.
Well, the lanes do seem a little bit tighter than they did yesterday and the day before. Makes spare shooting a bit different.
Ringing 10 on lane 13. A 15-pin lead now for Lorrie Nichols.
Lorrie shaking her head, and she wraps the 6 around the 10.
Career television record now, 34 and 50. Starting to close the gap a little bit.
And there's Terri Nichols. Just flew in this afternoon, Judy Sutar, and went and picked him up, and they picked me up at the mall.
At the shopping mall?
Yes.
Did you buy anything?
Of course. Can you not go to a mall without buying anything?
Yes, I do it frequently, but I don't go to malls that often. I'm not a shopper.
That's because you're a man.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, a lot of men don't shop.
Okay. I knew there had to be a reason, but now it's cleared up.
Now back to the match. Terri is trailing by 15 pins.
She comes back with a perfect shot on lane 14. If she doubles here, it's a 5-pin match.
With half a game left.
Delightful young lady, very nice personality, very easygoing, Terri Brice.
She's very quiet, too, Denny.
She even speaks quietly when you talk to her. Somehow I couldn't picture her screaming at a kid. How about you?
No, I'm sure
she'll learn,
she won't.
Have you learned? No.
No. You can't scream at him at such a young age.
Right. Give him a year or two, right? Ooh, better speed on this shot. Rolls up, and Terri Brice comes back with a key double and applies the tourniquet.
This is the shot on lane 14, the first of the 2 strikes that she received, and it goes flush. And this is her shot on 13, which gave her the double and closed the gap by 5 pins. Hitting inside. Now she moved in on lane 13, playing around the 12th board, Denny.
And Lorrie Nichols dices the rack on lane 14, so strikes everywhere all of the sudden. The last 3 shots thrown by our professionals have ended up with X's.
A lot of players on lane 13 and 14 did make some drastic adjustments, as I just saw Terri do. She moved in on lane 13 because she was getting that over-under reaction playing outside.
Terri can't spare, just strike.
Strike or nothing. Now Lorrie playing way outside, throwing that ball right around the 2 board as it came flying back.
Lorrie Nichols answers the challenge and regains the lead by 15 pins. As we'll take a break here in the latter stages of the semifinal game of the Carolina Classic. The name is Bob. Terri Brice down by 15, working on a double, and I would say this would be the key shot of the week.
7th frame.
Now they keep the string alive, and she leaves the soft 7. Pretty good shot.
Real good shot, Denny. Now her ball rolling end over end, trying to make the turn up in the last few feet. Doesn't quite do it, and she left a soft 7.
All right, so when you say end over end, that would mean the track of the bowling ball would be very close to the finger holes and the thumb holes?
Exactly. She has a very high roll, stays underneath the ball.
Left-hand turn there, but the 7-pin down nonetheless. Now the task at hand to get back on with the strike here in the 8th.
Best possible game Terri Brice can shoot is 220. However, Lorrie Nichols can shoot 246.
Changed lines or dead missed it by about 4 boards, because that one was left to the target when it left her hand.
Well, she's playing in that inside line right around the, well, she's setting the board around the 12th, the ball around the 12th board. It is going out to around the 9th board, and that time she flat out missed it inside.
There's John Cassina, the managing partner. Oh, wait a minute, Johnny Howe. Well, they slipped another gentleman in there. I thought we were heading to see the managing partner, the guy who really pays the bills. But perhaps we'll get to John Cassina at a later date.
It's nice being the general manager, so you don't have to pay the bills.
Ah, there's John. Ask and you shall receive.
Beautiful bowling center here in Hilton Head.
Ladies have really enjoyed themselves this week. Lorrie Nichols obviously enjoying her talents here in the semifinal game, because that strike in the 8th gives her a 27-pin lead. One more, and the noose will begin to swing.
You mentioned the good time a few of the players had. They were able to attend the Heritage Classic on Sunday, and they said they really enjoyed watching that.
Yeah, I used to own some property down here. I used to play at Harbortown all the time.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Great, great golf course. Unforgiving, but beautiful place.
The 10-pin was unforgiving to Lorrie Nichols. She converts this. She can shoot a possible 225. Here the 6-pin's just going to sit in the channel. Once again, the ball actually deflecting as it hits the pocket, going off to the right. Not a lot of drive.
hanging on the very last moment. So the 10-pin is down in the 9th. And Lorrie Nichols, who leads by 26, is not out of the woods just yet.
If Terri Brice were to strike out in the 9th and 10th frame, she would force Lorrie Nichols to mark.
Terri could shoot 209. That would be enough to send Lorrie up there and force her to come up with at least a spare or better. You have to be appreciative of the effort of Terri Brice, who has bounced back a couple of times. A little surprised at the shot she threw in the 8th frame.
Just a perfect shot here in the 9th. Right around the 8th board, going very direct towards the pocket, down the lane, and it's flush. She's liked lane 14.
Last shot was a runaway Brooklyn that left the 5-pin on this lane. Well, there you see she gave it a little more room, and that's the problem the players are presented with. If you get a little too far right, you leave the washout.
Well, you get too far right, Denny, but you hit that oil first. That lane conditioner in the early part of the lane just sends the ball into a slide. And this is pretty much over as she throws a washout here. See, she set the ball down around the 12th board, and that ball just hit the 8th board. Never hit any dry boards.
Hit some dry there. So an open in the 10th, and Lorrie Nichols will go on to win the semifinal game while she is resting comfortably on the bench. Easy on the nerves.
We'll have a rematch. As last night, Lorrie Nichols and Lisa Wagner were rolling off. Lisa pretty much had the #1 position well in hand. Lorrie trying to stay in second to a 162 game and fell to 4th.
Well, we'll see if what goes around comes around. Maybe she'll have the shot this evening on the championship round pair of 13 and 14 here in the Carolina Classic. As we mentioned in the Open, the first time ever that the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour has had the pleasure of visiting this marvelous resort area, Hilton Head Island.
I think you're going to see the resemblance in both of the players' games as well, Denny. Both Lisa and Lorrie playing very direct, down the lane, and with a lot of ball speed.
And between the two of them, 37 career championships. With a spare, a game of 215, so it'll be 3 consecutive 200-plus games for Lorrie Nichols. Terri Brice will move on to the Atlanta Open with $2,000 as Lorrie Nichols wins the semifinal game, 215 to 177. She'll take on Lisa Wagner, the 1989 LPBT Player of the Year. This question, we've got Carolina on our mind, the Carolina Classic, the big payout this week, $6,000 for first, and all the way down to $1,500 for the #5 position. As I mentioned, the field of 70 started this week at Main Street Lanes on the island of Hilton Head, and there we look at the way the other finishers ended up.
Leanne Barrett just missing out again this week. And Judy Sutar had a super tournament, was high qualifier after the first and second round.
Carol Giannotti back on the beam, and then we look at 16 through 25. Cheryl Daniels, another 16th position.
Left-hander Dee Dee Davidson back in the top 24.
And, of course, coming up next week, live on ESPN, the LPBT Tour heads off to Fayetteville Lanes. We're down to just 2. Lorrie Nichols, a Hall of Famer, and Lisa Wagner, who is headed in that direction.
Oh, you bet. Voted Bowler of the Decade for the 1980s. We mentioned her 24 career titles in such a short time as 8 years. She has spent 11 years on tour, though.
Lorrie kind of sliding past the pocket leaves the solitary 2-pin. Been a while since she's been in the championship match. It's been a while since she's won 3 games in a row.
That's more correct. I think Lorrie was high qualifier in Samstown recently, 1988, I believe.
No problem with a 2-pin in the first. And now, after waiting in the wings for the better part of an hour, let's see how Lisa Wagner reacts. 19th time she has been the top seed, and her record from that position, 9 wins and 9 losses.
And Lisa likes South Carolina. She has been the top seed and the last 2 events here in South Carolina. And also her husband, Kent Wagner, and herself finished second. They were also the top seed in a mixed regional doubles here recently.
Are my eyes deceiving me, or did it look like Mrs. Wagner pulled that a little bit? Well, before we get to that, there is Imogene and Bob Rathgeber, Lisa's parents. They live in Palmetto, Florida, right down there near St. Petersburg.
Which is about a 7-hour drive. They came up to watch their daughter bowl.
I think she gave it the tug LaRue on the opening shot on 14 and got away with one. Let's see if she can double up here.
Well, the advantage Lisa has with her game, Denny, she's able to move out to that dry area and just throw hard. As you can see, she's playing right around the second board.
Ringing 10 in the second.
That strong drive, the ball coming in very hard, breaking late. Here you'll see exactly where her ball goes out to. Hitting around the 4th board, it goes way out to about the 2nd board, making a sharp break back, and watch the 6 pin just wrap around that 10.
I was hoping for a double there because the next words out of my mouth would have been, don't forget about our Kmart Challenge. Any lady on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour that shoots a 300 game during the nationally televised finals would collect a check worth $100,000. And it's safe for another week.
On to Fayetteville.
High through the nose and a split for Lorrie Nichols in the second. And you just saw the shoulders shrug at the line. She knew she had made a mistake.
Hit that dry area, Denny, with not enough ball speed to have the ball hold the line. And the results, the ball coming right into the nose. Now she'll go for the 2 pins.
Don't think I'd want to spot Lisa Wagner.
Well, not on a condition like this. Lisa likes bowling on synthetics when they're dry. And she's had a good time here this week.
So she likes the dry look.
Exactly. Versus the wet look.
What do you like?
I have a tendency to like the dry look.
I thought you were going to say the moist look. Create something new.
In between.
All right. Well, you're a tweener.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
Ooh, plenty of speed on this shot, and the velocity shakes the pins around a little bit, so Lorrie Nichols strikes in the 3rd, but she trails by 14.
The key to playing those dry lanes, the ball speed.
How do you get ball speed?
Through your footwork. Then if you can pick up the speed in your footwork, you can usually pick up your ball speed.
So in other words, if you're trying to throw the ball a little harder, you don't necessarily try and swing with your arm necessarily. You pick up the pace of the feet.
That'll get you into the swing, get your timing going a little quicker, get the ball going a little quicker.
Free swing here, dipped her shoulder, and again she strikes. And I have a feeling that Lisa may just ask for lane 14 for the rest of the night. I'll just take that one with me, please.
Well, she likes this lane. She made a great shot here. Ball just holds right in the pocket. Lisa winning earlier this year in Yuma. That was also a synthetic house. You can look at the scoreboard. She leads by 14, working on 1 strike, looking to increase it by 24.
Well, she could have struck easily in the second as well, as she threw a perfect shot and left the ringing 10. Lisa Wagner out quickly, and if Lorrie Nichols hopes to stay close, better double up here.
Much better ball speed that time. You could just hear it as it hit the lane. Shaking her head, knew she made a terrible shot in the second frame.
Can't worry about that now.
No, you can't. Only thing she needs to worry about is to continue striking.
I think Lorrie, when she looks back on this one, win or lose here in the championship game, will feel like, hey, this was a solid performance and kind of worked out a few of the kinks in the championship round.
That's right. You always have to look at it in a positive way.
Really needs this one desperately, down on one knee, and she gets it. So Lorrie Nichols comes back, doubles up. She now works on a 3-bagger, and the match stands at 4 pins.
Once again, keeping her ball speed up, playing right around that 5th board. The ball going out to about the 3rd board, making the break back. You mentioned down on one knee. Carry is the key now.
Oh, 7-pin wiggling just a little bit, but looked like Lisa got that ball about a board or two inside her mark and didn't react quite the same.
Mom Emma Jean with a little bit of a smile, but she would have had a bigger one had that 7-pin fallen. And get a look at Lisa's game here. She takes 5 steps, uses all of the approach. Nice pendulum swing.
Even when she throws it bad, the timing seems to be pretty good.
Natural timing. Very natural bowler. As you can see here, she takes a long first step, then pushes the ball away. Good bend at the waist, not too low. Nice high backswing, and as she slides, she's very square at the line.
All-time leading money winner on the LPBT Tour with earnings in excess of $393,000. She'll be approaching $400,000 should she win tonight.
And the key is she's only 28 years old.
Waved that one back, and it didn't quite work. Lisa with a miscue in the 6th, and this one could turn around in a big hurry.
Well, Lisa now just experiencing that over-under reaction. She hit inside her target on lane 14. The ball slid. That time she wanted to make the adjustment, make sure she hit outside, and the ball broke too soon.
Count important at this stage in a championship match. And Lorrie Nichols could really grab a hold of this one as she steps up and throws a couple more.
And this match just turned around. As Lorrie now leads by 11. And not a good count as Lorrie just left 5. Lane 14, the tighter of the 2 lanes. If you hit inside, that ball's going to slide. Once again, the ball not making it out to those dry boards. It doesn't come back.
Now she's got a handful to contend with. Bucket plus the 7, and whew, those are the ones you breathe a sigh of relief.
Perfect conversion.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I've seen that missed a lot.
Boy, lost a few pins in count with that 5 count, though. Wow, she leads by 6. Could have been at least a 10-pin lead.
Wanting to get back on it here, increase her lead by 16, plus have the advantage of being on a strike. Sending that ball way to the right. That ball hit the 1 board. As you can see, it came flying back.
Terri a touch concerned.
Well, it's been a while since really Lorrie's been in this position, Denny.
You know what I love is when the players talk to themselves. No one's listening.
We are.
You have to convince yourself, don't you? Pump yourself up.
Exactly. You have to talk to yourself.
Easy does it. And back-to-back tough spares in the 6th and the 7th for Lorrie Nichols. A 3-pin match here for the title of the Carolina Classic.
Low pin count, the 5 count and the 7 count. Lisa Wagner wanting to get up and strike here. Can shoot a possible 235 game. Lorrie Nichols can shoot a possible 228 at this point in the match.
Better shot. Nice reaction. See, she gets that ball a little bit further to the right, a board or 2, and she gets a great reaction on 14.
Now lane 13, looking to be the tougher of the 2 lanes.
Could shoot 235.
And as the ball comes flush into the pocket, there's no doubt about that strike.
Trying to apply some more pressure, and Lisa Wagner comes back with a nifty little double.
And just took over the lead by 7 pins. And Lisa Wagner, the winner of the Bowlers Tape Cup Average Award.
Yep, and the award given by Karen Ellingsworth, one of the representatives on the tour, former U.S. Open champ, and a finalist just 2 weeks ago on our LPBT telecast. Ooh, quickly up, and the shot is thrown, and that was a matador shot all the way. Wave it goodbye.
Well, Lorrie knew she let up on her speed that time, Denny, and the results were through the nose. And she was waving it to the right as well. You just know when you let up on your speed, you can feel it.
She's given up 10, 11, 12 pins in the last 3 frames just in count. And now takes the 3 and the 9 right off the 6 and the 10. So a major mistake in the 8th for Lorrie Nichols, and she may have served things up here on the silver platter.
Lisa Wagner's lead just increased to 23 pins.
Lorrie could still shoot 202. Better strike here. And she does, so there's still a breath of life for Lorrie Nichols. However, time is running out.
Lisa Wagner basically now has to fill both frames. If she strikes here, though, she wouldn't have to worry about frame number 10. Working on a double.
This is her good lane. Good speed. And wacko, Lisa Wagner en route to winning her 25th career professional championship, which would tie her with Patty Costello.
Basically, she just needs good pin count here. She wouldn't even need to spare.
Looks over at the unofficial score of Fran Wolf, the national tournament director, to get an idea of where she stands. Powerful performance from our top seed, but one that you would expect from her.
Definitely on a condition that favors her game, the ball speed. She likes to play outside.
I think her carry is much better from out there. And the finishing touch by Lisa Wagner, who has captured the Carolina Classic and notched victory number 25 in her career, number 2 here in 1990.
And this is basically what wrapped it all up, a winning shot here. Once again, that outside line, the ball going down the lane and making a nice break into the pocket. And her reaction is, I just wrapped it up, yeah.
She doesn't get too emotional. You don't see her do too much along those lines, but now it's fun time. Now you get loose, you roll that baby out there, you lift it real good. A couple of strikes on national TV, huh? You start running them out, having a little fun.
And now she just tied Patty Costello's all-time record.
That's it, 25 career victories, and she knows it, very much aware of it. Her big year, 1988, when she won 6 different times. Biggest year for Patty was 76, when she won 7 championships, including the U.S. Open. Out it goes, back it comes, and when you're going to win it, you might as well take it right off the sheet, as Bob and Imogene are thrilled to death with daughter Lisa.
And Lorrie breaking her losing streak, winning 3 matches this evening, finishing up 2nd place, takes home a check of $3,000.
Got to feel good about the finish. Really for her, the shot in the 5th, where she leaves the 2-4-5-8-7. Or was it the 9-7? Maybe it was the 8. Yeah, that's right. Big 4 with the 7 pin. She made the spare, but lost all sorts of pins in count. And then threw a 7 count and a 6 count in the next 2 frames, and you just can't do that.
Low pin count.
Match was too close at that point. She could have stayed 10 or 12 ahead, but the way it turned out, Lisa finished with the last 6. So, all academic.
That's a tough way to win if you're up against the last 6.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about what you should have done, but I think Lorrie all along knew that Lisa had a pretty good shot, and she needed to stay ahead and keep the pressure on, but it didn't quite work out. So there you have our Carolina Classic champion, Lisa Wagner of Palmetto, Florida. as she wins 235 to 181 at Main Street Lanes in Hilton Head. And Lisa Wagner, the champion, and Joe Marcellia, the general manager here, with a beautiful trophy.
On behalf of the owners, management, and staff here at Main Street Lanes, I'd like to present you, Lisa, with this trophy.
Oh, thank you very much, Joe. On behalf of all the players, I'd like to say we had a great week here. We had a lot of fun, enjoyed the area, and we're looking forward to coming again.
All right. Johnny Howe, and you have the goods this week.
Yeah. Lisa, I just want to congratulate you. All of the girls put on a great show, and I think they really need a big hand there, folks.
All right, we've got time for just one closing comment. You've now won 25, and you've tied Patty Costello.
Well, one more, and my family has told me that I could get another dog. So next week, maybe it's Dalmatian time, hopefully.
I'm sure all the other ladies on the tour are excited about that. Next week in Atlanta, what kind of dog would you get?
Well, maybe a Dalmatian, probably any dog. I don't care. I'll go to a pound or something and save any dog that would be put to sleep or something.
All right, well, so long, everybody, from Hilton Head. Carolina Classic have been brought to you by Advil, advanced medicine for pain. Use only as directed. And by the Coleman Company. We outfit your outdoors.